Hi, welcome to the first issue of Between the Bags and Boards. My name is Matt.
And my name's Kurt.
We have a lot of great comics we're going to be talking about today in this video. We'll be talking some Aquaman, we'll be talking some X-Men, so keep watching.
But before we get to that stuff, what we're going to talk about is Marvel Now. And I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about this. This was announced all the way back in, I think, June. But it's finally affecting the Marvel Universe. All the series that we grew so fond of over the past couple of years, they're coming to an end. And new creators are going to be starting up a brand new series with #1 issues coming out over the next couple of months. And a lot of people are drawing comparisons with this with last year's New 52. And what do you think about that?
I think it's essentially the same as the New 52. They're trying to start all the numbering from 1 again. That allows new readers to jump on, in my opinion, and just makes it easier for you to gain new readership.
It's true, but I think one of the key differences is that it's not a reboot, so they're keeping a lot of the same.
That's definitely true.
The universe that they built up. So what I thought it's more like is that 2 years ago there was the end of Dark Reign and Siege, and the Heroic Age started. And there was a lot of new issues, new series that started with #1s then too, when Bendis started all his Avenger runs. And I think it's a lot more like that, actually.
Speaking of different writers starting up different runs, one of the main features of Marvel now is all the creative teams are moving around within the Marvel Universe. You got Matt Fraction going over to Fantastic Four and Future Foundation. You got Jason Aaron taking up Thor. You got Rick Remender. He's starting to work on Avengers and New Avengers. Bendis is going to All New X-Men. And then you also have Gillen moving from Uncanny X-Men to Young Avengers. He's restarting Young Avengers. Kid Loki's going to be in it, which should be great. And he's also taking over Iron Man. I want to know, what are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm actually looking forward to Aaron's run on Thor. I know that Aaron's done a lot of dark stuff before, but he's also done, he did Wolverine and the X-Men, which is different than what he's done before, and I'm kind of curious to see what he's going to do with Thor.
I think I'm looking forward a lot to Remender's run on Captain America, because, Remender, he did Uncanny X-Force, had some great arcs in that. Now he's doing Secret Avengers and the whole Ascendance storyline. But both those titles have been fairly dark. Captain America is kind of almost the pinnacle of hero within the Marvel Universe, so it'll be interesting to see, what kind of stories Remender uses him for.
It could be nice to see a little bit more gritty Captain America, more down to earth, like a Max Captain America. That'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely. Also with Marvel now, there's a lot of new series starting. Remender also started Uncanny Avengers, which is kind of fallout from AVX, and there's also the new A+X.
So this is our quick hit segment, and this is a segment we're going to be doing on a weekly basis, and it's going to be a very simple section where we talk about the comics that we personally really liked from the previous week. And today we're going to be starting off with, I believe, A+X?
A+X. We were talking about Marvel Now earlier. A+X is one of the new titles that's coming out with Marvel Now. Basically the format works is there's going to be 2 stories in every issue, different writers for each of the stories. So, month to month, or issue to issue, the writers change. And these are all self-contained stories, so they're meant to be sort of light and fun. In this first issue, we had 2 of them. We had Captain America team up with Cable back in World War II. And then we had, why don't we look at that one first. So basically Captain America and Bucky are going on a mission, kill some Nazis, same old, same old. But then all of a sudden, Cable shows up as the time traveler, and he's chasing a time-traveling Trask who's brought Sentinels back to World War II. The Nazis with Sentinel technology obviously isn't a good thing, so Cable teams up with Captain America to take it down. I don't know, what did you think of this first story?
I thought it was very overdone, and I was very disappointed in it. It's like you have an X-Men comic, and they just straight jump to Sentinels. The first thing, and it just seems, hey, I've seen this a bunch of times, but this time it's just in the 1940s. I mean, it's hardly any different in my opinion. I was very disappointed.
I kind of liked how there were some references to, for example, Captain America asks Cable things about the future, and Cable's like, I can't tell you anything, and then Captain America's like, you already did. You're speaking English to me and not German. I thought that was kind of a fun thing to toss in.
That was a witty line, but I still felt that overall it was. Maybe I'm just reading too much into this. You can't put too much of a story into half an issue, because this is essentially what these stories are.
Fair enough. Why don't we look at the other half of this issue, which was Hulk and Wolverine team up. And basically, they're in Avengers Tower. All of a sudden, a portal from the future, or maybe an alternate dimension, opens up, and another Hulk and Wolverine pop out and attempt to kill our Hulk and Wolverine. They fight, obviously, and it's just pretty vicious, since all the characters involved are just completely vicious attackers. Eventually, these people from another time or space decide to leave, because it turns out they were hunting the wrong Hulk. They were trying to kill the Hulk, but it turns out they wanted to kill the Red Hulk. They go back to their own time, and it turns out the Red Hulk is president, and he's the one who ordered himself to be killed. It was all a bit confusing, but, just a lot of fight scenes involved. What did you think?
I actually like this one more, and because it was, like you said, a little bit more confusing, maybe because it had some intrigue to it. It's important to note that the Hulk that came back was actually Maestro, who I believe is a Hulk from an alternate reality about 100 years in the future, where nuclear war has basically leveled everything, and he turned into a Hulk from just all this latent radiation. And so he's not exactly the same Hulk as the one he comes back to fight. But I did like the fact that we don't know because they said it's going to be continued, right?
Maybe continued. Who knows?
Well, I would hope that it's continued. They have this Red Hulk trying to kill Red Hulk. What is he trying to do? I want to know.
For me, one of the most disappointing elements was when you have a Hulk and Wolverine team up, and there's no fastball special involved. I think it's just a complete failure.
That is true. I didn't even think about that.
So what kind of grade would you give this comic?
Overall, I'd say it was a 2.5.
2.5? I would give this a 2.5 as well. Mainly, I think, because my expectations were incredibly high, which I guess is a bit unfair, but I guess it just didn't live up to the hype, in my opinion. So
in the future, I think we gotta expect the same out of this as what we can expect out of Avenging Spider-Man, which is sort of the similar setup.
Very true.
Alright, so next we're going to be looking at Wolverine and the X-Men, and this was, I think it's officially within the Marvel now, but Aaron is still writing it, and he's still continuing the same storylines that he was before. And what they do in this is they go over a lot of the, they touch on so many issues that have been going on in the past few stories, and they talk about the fallout from AVX, the fallout from Husk leaving, there's the fallout from the attack on Brew by the
Hellfire Club.
Hellfire Club, there you go.
The new Hellfire Club.
Yeah, the new, much better Hellfire Club. But the thing that I actually liked the most out of this issue was the interviews Kitty was doing for a replacement for Husk's position. And my favorite one, I don't know about
just
you.
A ton of great teacher possibilities.
Amazing, to be honest. But my favorite line, I think, was the two people from the Alpha Flight, and their qualifications for being a teacher, as they argued, was simply the fact that they were Canadian. And I thought that was just a great line, because Wolverine's Canadian. That seems like a great qualification for the school.
To me, the teachers' interview were both the best and worst part, in that a ton of great characters got to pop up in the new school, but at the same time, the fact that the teacher they end up landing on is Storm, in my opinion, is just a complete disappointment, because she's such an obvious choice. Why even have interviews at that point? To me, the whole thing seemed to be turned into just like Kitty saying, "Hey, I either like you or I don't," because I mean, there's
clearly
a ton of
she didn't like anyone but Storm then.
Yeah, but I mean, when it comes down to teaching future X-Men, I think there was a lot of good candidates she passed on too quickly. Blade, vampires are popping up all the time. I mean, these young X-Men, well, they're not X-Men yet, but these young students got to be prepared for anything, They're mutants. They're going to face persecution. I think Blade could have taught them some valuable things.
Nemesis should have just
Nemesis, he's a smart guy. Smarter than Kitty. I don't know what she can teach, but...
I forget well, she's a headmistress. I don't know what she does teach.
She's taught some literature classes before, but...
I guess that's important, too.
I mean, obviously, Deadpool probably was not the right choice, although he was hilarious. But, I mean, even Hellstrom could have provided something, although he's a little out there, too, I guess.
Be like Master of Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Exactly.
Get that going.
Just like Hogwarts, Maybe your teacher will kill you. Maybe he'll be evil, but at least you'll learn something.
Exactly. Another storyline that I really liked, and they've been going about this in the past few issues, was the one with Mortimer, Toad, the janitor, and how he, is sort of finding love with Husk. And I think it's kind of nice to show Toad having growth as a character. You never see someone like Toad, who is clearly one of the most inferior X-Men out there. And he works as a janitor, as having just, character growth. And I think it's just a great thing that Aaron's been doing.
Yeah. They showed him obviously being upset. I'm not entirely sure where that leads, but you never know.
Definitely. So what did you think about the ending, where they had, I believe, it was a reference to Frankenstein and the whole circus being set up, and I'm not exactly sure where that storyline's going to be going, but do you have any thoughts on that?
I think, a person like that coming and potentially posing a threat to the school, that's where you would want Blade to be your teacher. In terms of grade, what would you give it?
I'd give it a 4.5. They tried to fit in a lot of stuff, and so it was kind of overwhelming, but I just love the character so much.
I think I would give it a 4. There's a lot of great stuff, even some stuff we didn't talk about, like hunting down the Hellfire Club, which was pretty cool. So I'd give it a 4.
Alright.
So our next quick hit is Aquaman number 13, and it's the end of the Others arc. Volstock, died in the last one, and the Others are out for revenge. They finally catch up to Black Manta, because he's taken the scepter that he stole in the previous issues to whoever he's working for. We finally find out who he's working for. Turns out he's working for Atlanteans. Aquaman and the Others confront Black Manta while this trade is going down, when Black Manta is giving the scepter to the Atlanteans. And Aquaman is obviously he wants to know who's in this Atlantean ship. He thinks that it's his brother, and he is very vocal about that, but he can't be sure that it is Ocean Master. They defeat Black Manta, obviously, and then at the end of the issue, there's a Atlantean surveillance team looking at Mira and Aquaman, and they comment as they're surveilling. They say, "Praise be to the king." We assume that means they're referring to Aquaman. So does this mean those Atlanteans who took the scepter are really on Aquaman's side? We don't know. What do you think?
Well, I have to first say that I'm new to Aquaman. I didn't really think highly of him before the New 52, and I didn't really start reading until the Zero issue last month. And so I was kind of peeved that right after the Zero issue, they had the ending of a previous arc, so I was really lost, to be honest. That being said, I absolutely love the art for this issue, because the way Ivan Ray does the water for the splashing or just the rain, I haven't seen anything like it in any other comic. It just makes everything seem way more dramatic.
Yeah, I definitely like the tone of this issue, and then also kind of the run in general. Aquaman is much more of a badass than he was before the New 52. He kind of got that ferocity from the Flashpoint Aquaman. He's got the trident. He's willing to kill in some scenarios, and I think that makes him a much more interesting character rather than kind of like a B-level Justice League member. Some things I didn't like about this issue were how quickly the Atlanteans were able to get the scepter away from Aquaman, because Aquaman has spent the last couple issues trying to get the scepter. He has his hands on it, and then they steal it back from him, like, immediately.
Butterfingers.
Yeah. Seriously.
But you brought up the fact that, you know, he's willing to kill, and I was actually questioning his actions at the end of this comic where he says that he lets Mantis go, saying that I'm not going to kill you now because it doesn't feel right, but I will kill you later. And to me, that just doesn't make much sense, because I know other heroes that just say, I'm not going to kill. But he's just saying that I'm not going to kill you now.
Well, Aquaman is trying to turn into just a better hero. You know, at the very beginning of the issue when he was talking to Mira and saying, he basically said, the reason I haven't told you about the others is because I'm kind of ashamed of who I was when I was with them. Aquaman says he was a killer back then, and he doesn't feel good about that. And he didn't want to share that with Mira because she's like the best thing in his life.
I get that he doesn't want to kill them, because that's heroic. I get that.
So this new Aquaman wouldn't kill.
But at the same time, he's saying that I will kill you later. But
he's saying he didn't explicitly say I'll kill you later.
Well,
he said I may have to kill you later.
I don't know. It seemed kind of wishy-washy to me about what he actually stands for.
That's true. What kind of grade would you give this?
I would give it a 3 because I really like the art. I was lost in the storyline, but you know, art can always make up for that.
I would give this a 3.5. I'm just really upset how quickly he lost that scepter. And I feel like Johns has kind of been teasing us with this whole Atlantis, finally seeing Atlantis storyline. You know, they've teased it all the way since, you know, after the Flashpoint and right after the New 52 started. They're basically saying, we're going to see Atlantis soon. You know, we've seen a few Atlanteans, like when they threw Aquaman into the desert. But other than that...
Sounds like an interesting
storyline. Yeah. 3.5.
Alright, so our last quick hit of the week is a comic that I absolutely loved. The comic's called Bedlam. It's a new Image comic, and it's written by Nick Spencer and art done by Riley Rossmo, and it was absolutely amazing. So, the premise is there's a former serial killer who went by the name of Matter Red, and he now is sort of trying to turn a page. He's trying to
be good.
Be good, yeah. He's trying to be a good guy, even though in the past he's done some really, really bad things. And the way the comics introduces us to Matter Red is just, it's really enthralling, because it goes by two different storylines. One set in the past, when he was a serial killer, and one set now when he's trying to change. And the transitions and the way the story progresses, it really builds the character up as one of the most intriguing characters I've read in a very long time. I don't want to spoil too much, but the intro itself, I think, would just capture everyone, because it starts with Matter Red basically holding a field trip of little children hostage and murdering them within, I believe, an orchestra hall, and it was great.
I mean, he has a great line in that when he's holding one little girl, you know, preparing to kill her, and he basically says, one person dying is a tragedy, but he says thousands dying is a statistic. He goes, you're a statistic, and then he kills her, which I thought was, you know, just taunting.
It was great, and what really highlights the character is the art style that Rossmo chose. He basically, especially for the arcs that took place earlier, the storyline that took place earlier, he only uses basically black, white, some shades of gray, and then red. So red is just highlighted everywhere.
So distinct.
The blood, his mask, everything, and it's just, the tone it sets, it's great. Very creepy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the general theme he kind of says in his tagline is evil something you are, or is it something you become? And I think that just embodies the series. I think the series will be perfectly.
What I thought of the character itself, I don't know if you got the same feeling, was it reminded me of the Joker from Batman, but as if he was, you know, a good guy at this point.
Or at least trying to be.
It was very similar in that he was very smart, and he's willing to do almost anything, and like he repeatedly says, "Surprise me." He likes to surprise people, do the things no one expects, and that's exactly what the Joker does. And I'm really curious to see how this storyline progresses, and I can't wait for the next issue. But what would you grade this?
I would give this 3.5. It was fairly interesting at the beginning, but I'm not entirely sure how much room there was for more story.
Alright, well I absolutely love diabolical and demented characters, so this was a solid 5 for me.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Please leave a comment below on your thoughts on what we discussed today. Also, please leave suggestions on how we can make this show better.
You can also reach us on Facebook, Twitter, or by email. The links are provided below. And for those of you who want an audio version, you can find it on iTunes.
Thanks again for watching. My name is Matt.
And I'm Kurt, and we're sealing this issue of Between the Bags and Boards, but we'll be back with a new one next week.